Greetings, fellow Demon Slayers. This is Taimanin and Mari here today with another video. So yeah, you guys know what's coming. We did break 400 members on the server, so thank you so much for the support. And we're about to hit 800 subs. Don't think I haven't noticed that. I love how quickly everything's growing. So thanks so much for the support, guys. Keep it up, and I'll keep showing up here every day. And yeah, delivering you content for this sweet game. So, now that we're past that, before getting into today's topic, I want to tell you guys a little love story. So basically, last night I was playing Emily. I got about 90 gems and decided to buy some AP pots. So I got them, and I was just grinding. In the process of grinding, where is she? Freaky Fish Girl here decided to get 5 intimacy. So I claimed her 50 gems that she drops, and I was like, you know what? I took a look at her intimacy art. I won't spoil it here because I know people don't like that. But I was like, you know what? Let me just go do one pull and see what happens. So I spent 40 of her 50 gems, and she dropped herself in that one pull. So as you can see here, she's S level 3. So Gotcha was friendly to Mari for once. It was off camera, but I wanted to tell you guys, because I'm just super stoked that this happened, because she's like, God, I love this supporter, and I love that my waifu likes her, and yeah. So, with that, we're going to get into today's topic. I'm just going to give some PvP tips, because some people are asking. I've covered arena here and there, kind of scattered throughout a bunch of videos, so today I'm just going to go ahead and give tips on it and give you guys some builds I use. But yeah, so first we're going to go to the arena tab. So when unlocking arena, it's no longer here now, but I believe it shows up on this little banner here. You're going to see a data collection bar, I believe it's called. So for people who cannot do normal and hard mode, if you spam easy mode, that will unlock it. It'll just take a while. Personally, I was able to do hard mode, I think up to 2 when it launched. So if you are able to do hard mode, you do get 10% of the collection points. And I believe if you run through easy and normal, just if you run through it one and done without repeating anything, that equates to 50. And then if you can just clear 5 hard mode runs, that would be the last 50 you need. For people who want a quick way out. But normal and hard, a lot of people have issues with them. So especially hard mode, a lot of people get railroaded by this. Where is she? This little monster here, this Yukikaze. So yeah, before you go into the hard mode maps, or any of the maps for that matter, check the enemy info. It tells you what they do. It tells you, how to deal with them. So yeah. Can I get out of here? There we go. So yeah. That's how you would unlock the actual battle arena, though. You just fill up this data collection bar, get it to 100%, and then you can come in here. And then you can start doing the PvP. And because it's resetting, I don't think I can look at anything. Well, I can give you guys the information without actually looking at it. Okay. So I'm not in the top 100 this week. I took a week off. So I just did a few matches. So I stay in top class after the reset. From what people say, I believe if you get 6,400 points at the end of the week, you'll still be at 6,000 points. So that's another tip. When you get to top class, try to farm a little bit over 6,000. I hear it's 6,400. I don't know if that's 100% true because I haven't really tested stopping there. This week I was testing out Emily in PvP. So as you can see, I have 7,400. When I decided to test her, I kind of just played for a little bit to see how she did back to back. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If 6,400 doesn't cut it and you fall below top class, I'm positive 7,400. I'm pretty sure I'll still land in top class after the reset. So next tip, if you're looking to be in the top 100, You all know, like, it's very difficult, like, as the week goes on, like you can see we have a sea of Emily's here. I'm not even going to go into like looking at some of these people's gear, but there's some pretty ridiculous players in the top 100. Like, outside of them being able to buy a lot of BP pots, their teams are pretty well put together. You're going to be dealing with best in slot waifus or damn near close to it from pretty much everyone here. That isn't the case like Sunday morning. So in a couple of hours, let's see, what time is it? It is 8 o'clock where I live. It's 8 a.m. So by 10 a.m., we're going to get the weekly reset for Arena and the new season. The top 100 is very tame Sunday morning. So for people looking to break into the top 100, I suggest maybe using like, say 20 to 30 BP pots if you're able to win in the top 100 and maintain it. What that'll do is that'll give you a nice farm for the day and give you an inflated score. And then throughout the week, as long as you play with natural battle points and stick to just doing arena, you should land in the top 100 or be close enough to it where you only have to use like maybe 5 to 10 more pots. It is going to take battle pots to rank, unfortunately. There's no way to get out of that, just because of like the amount people are spending and the amount people are pushing. But like, typically if I use 20 to 25 pots Sunday morning and just beat on the easy people, like my account can hang in the top 100. Like, others may have to reset a lot more than I do. But as long as you're able to get between, say, like a 10 and 15 streak consistently in the top 100, you should be able to maintain it after spending that many pots. And like, I usually land between, I want to say 50 and 100. Like, I don't ever get like in the top, like the top 50, like so 49 and up, or I guess number 50 and up. But I also don't really like spending extra BP pots. So that's just a me issue. Like, if I spent more pots, I could definitely rank higher. But that's neither here nor there. For those trying to bust into the top 100, give it a shot. Like I said, all you gotta do is just like, once it resets Sunday, go in there with your pots, burn them, do the best you can, and then just kind of play with natural BP throughout the week. That's what I do when I'm doing Arena. Like, I'm probably taking this week off too because I'm really into this Magatama farm. But yeah, when you do Arena and you want to rank, definitely take that advice. Going to the Arena store. So a lot of people know this, not everyone does. The best weapons to buy would be the Viridian weapons, because I think at max rank it's 48% against other Taimanin. We'll look at Emily's and get the exact numbers. And then at max rank it would be reduced critical of incoming attacks by 16%. So Taimanin's fighting against you will crit less. Now, these are the weapons everyone's going for. I'd say they're the best because getting criticaled in Arena, especially by Major, can end you. So definitely, if you're going to buy a PvP weapon, make sure you know which girl you're investing in so you can focus her and get it to S level 5 faster, instead of like saying like, oh, I want to use like she shall not be named Spear, and then you buy it and realize you don't like her, and then you end up going to buy the spear for the weapon for Renko here. Like, you don't want to have that happening. Like, make sure you know that this is the girl you want to buy these for, and get it to 5 before you move on. And definitely Viridian weapons are the way to go. Now, as far as Crests, people ask me questions about Crests. I'll be honest with you, I did 3 Crest gotchas just to get some, and I barely bothered to level them. They're not really super important, as I hold top 100 without really caring about the Crest. But yeah, I would never do like, okay, so this 2250 Crest gotcha for 5, I'd never do this, and I'd never do the draw 10 for 4000, just simply because a PvP weapon is 10k. I'd rather just spend 500 and not invest so much and see what I get. Just with the logic of, we're really here for the weapons. So if you have every weapon you want, then yeah, feel free to like fish for good crest. Like, I've seen crests, I think, that raise attack. There are crests that lower the cost of your gold payments when you pay to double your coins. Like, they give a bunch of various effects. I have some that that increase defense. But they're not super significant. Like, I really have no issues winning without them, is what I'm saying. I definitely feel like focusing the weapon first is a good deal. Outside of like getting maybe one or two crests just to do your battle pass, or I'm sorry, your golden pass monthlies. Same thing with pills. Like, if you're at a point where you have all the PvP weapons you want, and you have all the crests you want, or you don't really care about crests since you're doing fine without them, then I'd like probably just prioritize pills. I don't really care about the commander marks because like they're like, this is 8,000. That's really costly just for a picture or banner for my commander. So I avoid them. Maybe like sometime down the road I'll slowly do them. But again, like, prioritize your Viridian weapon. Maybe prioritize Crest if you really care, but only do the 500 option if you're still looking to get weapons. And then after that, like, I think the pills are the most bang for your buck, because the pills make it easier for you to streak. They also increase your arena coins that you would obtain and your score fluctuation. Now, there's a typo. Like, it says both increase HP, but this one I think increases attack, because if you actually look at the arena battle screen, it says attack over the red pill, and if you look at the thumbnail, you may not be able to see it, but I can see it. The little pill bottle literally says attack. So I think this is an attack buff, while this is supposed to be a defense buff. But it says HP on both. But either way, yeah. So, I said defense, I meant to say HP. But yeah, this is supposed to be HP and this is supposed to be attack, but if you read it, this says HP. That's not what it actually does. So getting out of here, like, that pretty much covers what you can get from the arena. Besides doing the early top 100 tips, make sure, like, if, you know, you are going for top 100, that you babysit your BP. Like, I know, like, people have jobs or real life obligations, but make sure every chance you get on and just like go into the arena and do your matches, so your BP is never sitting at max. It's really important if you want to maintain top 100 without like spending a lot. Because I guarantee what people who work do is they just like come home from a hard week of work and go, okay, I'm gonna drop like however much money and buy 100 or 200 BP pots. Like, that's what whales do. If you're gonna be like what I do and do like just 20, or even if that, then you have to use your natural BP, which means you can't leave an hour where it's sitting. So yeah, I'm just letting you know it can be a bit of a strenuous grind. But outside of like those tips, I'm gonna just show you guys some builds I use. I'll share the Emily build with you guys. It clears time attack and like dailies rather fast. I think I had like a 33-second time on a daily. And she gets through time attack 3 in like just under just under 2 minutes. I think her best time's a minute and 40. So I'll share her build. Like, I did try it in PvP. The axe was one-shotting people in the top 100. So yeah. First we'll look at Sakura. So what I do for Sakura, this is her PvP build I run. I give her the my on the sidelines for the reduced damage by 20% from all enemy types. I let her have Haruka for the reduced damage from human type enemies by 40%. Now if you do have Suzune, or if you have Fuyumi, you can take Haruka out for them. Simply because, one, they're both ultra rare, so they'll give her higher base stats. And two, Suzune provides that awesome all resist as well, just like Mai does. So yeah, definitely worth having here. Now, looking at the main for soccer, I do prefer to run Fuma, because, or rather Amane, because there's so many Fumas at this point. But I do prefer to run Amane, because she is really easy to cut off with her attacks. So, like, having just that buffer of, like, the little AoE around her whenever she gets hit really does help her to, like, regain the advantage, or at least put the fight back in neutral, so she has rooms to do her moves. As far as her actual skills, I am running Shadow Cleave because it's spin to win. Well, sorry about that, my My game client like popped off the screen for a second. Windows notified me. So anyway, yeah, I am doing Shadow Cleave for spin to win. I am doing Shadow Shark because her air juggle is actually pretty beefy damage in PvP when she does it. And then Shadow Fling just because it does reduce the damage that they deal to her by 30%. It has a beefy 15-second duration. And the cooldown is only 12 seconds, so basically like their attack is almost always down when they're fighting Sakura, which ties into the tanky playstyle you're getting from her supporters. And it just allows her to kind of become like a pain slave where they hit her and she deals more damage back with the Fuma counter, and then she deals respectable damage with the all blue build spin and her Shadow Shark juggle. Right now I am using Garou Kiba at S level 5 because I decided to go for Emily's weapons first, and I'm kind of taking it slow farming PvP weapons, but of course the Viridian weapon for Arena would be her best in slot. And then I prefer Garou Kiba over the Phantom Knife simply because of the defense debuff, because Sakura does have a pretty beefy crit stat. I do give her all red Magatama when I am running her. So yeah, that would be like just an example of what I do at Sakura. Looking at Renko, we'll look at her supporters first. Now in this case I am running Haruka on Renko for that 60% damage dealt to humans, because when she gets a groggy stun with Kirin or a knockdown with her meteor, she just basically shreds people. So I prefer having this on her over Fuma since Renko can easily take the advantage with CC. We're running Mai, of course, for the damage reduction yet again. Onigumo's sitting here because, like, sometimes I play my Renko. But, idealistically, like, with Emily in the game now, you would want to put Fuma there, even if she is in the back slot, so you can deal that extra damage against Emily. Idealistically, you would want a Fuyumi or a Suzune in this last spot. If you're looking to be more tanky, I would stack Suzune with Mai. If you're looking to be more damage like based, I would probably leave Haruka here and put Fuyumi here and then have Suzume and just get rid of Mai all around. Idealistically, I would probably take out Haruka for Shisui in the main slot just for the invulnerability, and since Renko likes all blue, it would work wonderfully on her. And then give her Mai and then something like Suzune just to have her be a total, like she's just never gonna go down, like with that invulnerability and that defense. So yeah. As far as like skills, we're using of course the OP Meteor. I prefer to run Wind Slice for my other skill because of the Groggy is really useful in PvP, and since the characters have no super armor, if she lands Wind Slice, they are always groggy. So it's just another way to proc groggy besides the Kirin basics, and it's another form of CC besides the Meteor knockdown. So very useful. And then I give her Ito style because the damage it adds to your basic attacks while you're slamming on them while they're groggy is just invaluable. For weapon, like for Renko, I would honestly say like I think Kirin is her best in slot. The active is just too amazing, and the passive is just too amazing that I find it more valuable than her PvP weapon personally. I am running all red Magatama on her as well. If I get into that Shisui build that I'm talking about, which I'll test it when I hit 15k mileage, which is going to be a long time, then, you know, I may try like Defense Magatama. I already have a set that's pretty much almost perfect rolls. So yeah, like I will test it and see how she works with a full defense build. But for now, you saw it. Give her all red Magatama. Keep Haruka main, she'll shred for you, and yeah. Next I'll show you my golden girl, Yuki. So she does a lot for me, as you guys know. For PvP, she's real sweet and simple. Throw major on her, that's gonna serve her well. Give her Homura and give her Faust for damage and critical rate, since everything Yuki does is pretty much ranged except for Thorai 10. Now, looking at her skills, basically what you're going to want to do is have her with Thorai 10. The slow is really useful, and I'll tell you why. It will reduce enemy movement speed by 30% for 15 seconds. This also affects when they are airborne. So Rai this skill, if she hits with the beginning hit, it does launch enemies, and then she does like a nice series of attacks. Like if I click on it, you'll kind of see she pops them up with that, and then just does this like sweet shooting animation. When when the Horizon speed debuff is active, they fall much slower. So what actually ends up happening is she'll Horizon to them, slow them, do Raimei to pop them up. And then when Raimei ends, you see here, the enemy kind of hits the ground pretty quick, but with the debuff, they fall slow enough that she's able to start a basic attack chain before they actually hit the ground, leading to a really long air juggle. They'll kind of be floating by her head by the time she's basic attacking. And then when they hit the ground, they are in a down state. It's like pretty much like if you play 2D fighters. Raimei resolves into a true knockdown. So they do land on their back and have to get up. And then she starts basic attacking them again while they're down. So it's borderline like a 70% combo. And then Rakurai is just, here in case she scores a dodge, they get stunned, and it makes it easier for her to set up Raiten and Raimei. So it's just a form of CC. The real bread and butter being these two skills. And what makes it a 100% combo is while they're airborne, Major goes off. Because basically what Yuki's going to try to do at the beginning of a match is Raiten into Raimei, and she'll pop Major herself if it's on auto. So in that case, if she's just playing full auto, she'll slow them, knock them up, and during this long air juggle, Major will have time to resolve without them being able to dodge. So yeah, even if they dodge Major's first hit because Yuki's AI pops it early, by the time they're caught in the juggle, if it does all work out correctly, they're pretty much going to die. It's like I've one-shot people. It's basically a 100% juggle if you have Major online. Without Major, even without her, it's still respectable damage. Yuki with this build is usually good for killing 1 to 2 people with ease, and then maybe going down by the third just simply because she has no sustain. I'm currently running Greek Fire, but again, the Viridian weapon would be ideal, just because it gives her even more damage against enemy Taimanin, and that multiplier would also apply to Major. So yeah. Of course, Red Magatama for Yuki. She has, I think, the highest base attack. I added them all up, like naked at level 75 for each character. I think Yuki's is the highest. Or I think she's tied with Asagi, but yeah, she has really high attack. That's the takeaway here. So just increase that attack more with red Magas. As you can see, she's not even wearing any Magas on her secondary weapon, and she's sitting at 9.8k attack. So yeah. I haven't tested Shield Shall Not Be Named enough in PvP to really give like advice from my experience. I've fought enough Asagis to give advice. What I see them typically do is they like to run Haruka for the 60% damage, and mixed with a Homura for the 30% all damage, and then they use Renka. That's one of the builds that has personally given me trouble. I've also seen the basic Ryuki build work on Asagi, where they would run Renka and then Homura here, and then just throw Major on Asagi so she can blow someone off the map. But yeah, she loves her PvP weapon. That would be best in slot. Give her the Viridian weapon. Outside of that, so for skills, if you are going to do full red, your bread and butter is basically going to be what you see here. Her Kojenka, her Taimanin art, and Humanika. So what happens is basically if she Kojenkas and does a Munika, it's a true time stop because of the reduced movement speed with red. And the basics from Taimanin art would just be insanely enhanced. Like right now she's not wearing gear because I took stuff from her for other characters. But you get the idea, like in an ideal world these would all be maxed out. Munika also works if you're running Haruka and decide to do all blue, because it would give them a 30% defense reduction. But if you're only splashing in one Haruka, what I would suggest running is just give her air juggle instead of Munika. Keep Kojenka and Taimanin art. That way she'll still be able to shred them with her PvP weapon with relative ease. I wouldn't run this ability, like, just because, like, even though she teleports above their head, they can still iframe out of it, and you're not really getting the extra abilities, since in the example I gave you, it would be Haruka main mixed with Homura and Rinka, which would just overall benefit this, because you'll get an additional 25% damage to her juggle, which she has no problems really getting off if you Kojenka them and she decides to launch. And that mixed with the multipliers from Taimanin art, the 60% from Haruka, the 30% from Homura, and then the additional critical rate from Renka, mixed with you having idealistically an S level 5 PvP weapon. Yeah, that would be the reason why some Asagi's I just avoid. I don't want to deal with getting shredded like that. It's just too many damage multipliers. Idealistically, if you have her, you can take Renka off for Hibiki, which I'll just pull her up for people who don't know what she does. And this would also work beautifully with Asagi if you decide to use her over Renka, because it'll just be another damage multiplier to her basic attacks, which she's spamming anyway, and Kojenka does synergize with that. So you can just have Hibiki there for more damage multipliers if you want that over the crit rate. And again, Red Magatama for Asagi, she loves them, and yeah. Last but not least, we'll look at Emily. Now, this build I'm still experimenting with. So yeah, you already know what's going to happen because I'm sure you see the high crit rate here. So for supporters for this build, we are running this S level 3 Spica. I'm so happy about this. So she gives you a great critical rate to melee attacks, it's an additional 12%, and then all critical damage of ranged attacks is increased by 24%. And of course she's the main for that sweet invulnerability. The bubbles are also very useful in PvE because if you shoot it off, it just bounces between all enemies. Like it literally goes around the screen and hits everything there that was on the screen when it started. It kind of snapshots. So that 700% right now is doing, I want to say, 45 to 50k on critical, and the crit rate is rather high. But for PvP, we more want this sweet invulnerability for 14 seconds, since she's a budget Shisui. On the side, we are using Homura for, again, the amazing 30% damage buff to all enemies. And here we are using Hibiki. Now, for PvP, you can take off Hibiki for Faust if you're going to run the PvP weapon. But if you use Hibiki, you can actually main her rebellious weapon, because the damage debuff would equate to 40% at S level 5, because it would be 8 times 5 if I'm remembering rebellious at S level 5 right. So that's only 8% less than what the PvP weapon would deal, but you'd be getting an additional, with Hibiki, 20% at S level 1 to all basics, and the debuff will be popping easily with the rebellious weapon because of the crit rate in this build. So you're probably going to get a net gain to damage overall, just because Emily's always basic attacking no matter what she's doing, even when she's stunned. So keep that in mind. Like, you can use either R. The PvP weapon would probably deal like slightly less damage, but still obviously it's 48% damage with the reduced critical rate on your enemies. So it's like a pick your poison thing. When I test it more, I'll give you guys my opinions in a later video, or in the Discord when we're talking builds and voice chat, or in actual main chat or build chat. But either way, for right now I'm sticking with Hibiki because, I mean, guys, look at her, she's super cute. So outside of that, for skills, I am running for PvE. We have 0 systems. All gameplay modes, I'm running Aegis Tackle for the additional 20% crit rate when it's activated. And it's such a long uptime because with her cooldown, like max, because her cooldown skill I believe is 25. I think the cooldown on this is only like 11 seconds or 12. So it's basically almost 100% uptime on a 20% crit rate. And that ties in beautifully with Axe Impact. Because of the skill, this skill further reduces its own cooldown. When the blades are spinning on wind up, it deals like, I want to say, like 50k, like when the spin goes around, like each hit, when it's critting. And then on crit, it's doing between 150 and 170k, depending on like if Hibiki is up or not, like how many debuffs are on the enemy. This is also working in PvP as well, like Aegis Tackle with Axe Impact. In PvP, what I'm simply doing is just taking off zero systems for the homing bullets. The reason being is she's already on auto in PvP, so she doesn't need to be having zero systems on in that game mode. So we just give her the zero bullets for the extra damage on cooldown. But what was basically happening is she would pop to start the fight, pop Spica, go invulnerable, and use her axe, Aegis Tackle and her axe, and they would die. Like, it does as much as an ult, maybe more. Like, she was literally one-shotting people, like, even in the top 100, and I tested this at, like, above a 10 win streak, and she hasn't lost yet, so, again, she's just like Yuki, she's good for a kill or two. The first fight, she will definitely be invulnerable if you have this setup, so it's going to be a free win for her. The second fight, like, it's kind of up in the air because she is squishy due to Homura, but if she gets that axe off and it lands on them, it does land really consistently in PvP, chances are she's going to get you through the second fight too, with all the basic damage, all the criticals, the critical buff, and the fact that she's forcing criticals with this powerful skill. So yeah, if you guys want to test it yourselves, this is what I'm using on her. I already went into weapons. For the main weapon, make sure you are giving her Crit Magatama. If you do decide that you want to use Faust, then the balance would be something like, let me find one that, here we go. Okay, so I'm still rolling on them, which is why they're a little bit funky, but yeah. So if you're going to use Faust, you want 3 critical damage rolls and 2 crit rate rolls. You may even be able to do like 4 critical damage rolls and 1 crit rate roll, because the crit rate with Faust it's really high. Like it's definitely more than 90% of the time. Like almost every basic crits. Like you can literally count the basics like that don't crit on like per engagement on like literally like one hand. Like it's that consistent. So you would want more critical damage. If you're going to run Hibiki, you want a setup like this, where you have critical rate 3 times and then critical damage 2 times. So yeah, basically you're going for that 3rd critical rate roll in the case of using Hibiki to make up for what you would be missing with Faust. And I can tell you now with this, like she's already critting just as much. It's a little bit less than Faust, but again, the 20% critical rate does take care of her with Aegis Tackle. So that's Emily in a nutshell. Like, as far as like what I'm doing with her, I use that for pretty much all modes. And just, if you forget, zero systems for PvE, homing missiles for PvP. Just for the consistent damage that won't miss. So yeah, it looks like the game DC'd here, so that sucks. But that's pretty much the video. You know the drill. If you guys found it helpful and entertaining or informative, please like and subscribe. It really does help me out. I really appreciate all the subs I get. Outside of that, yeah, you guys have a great rest of your day. You have good luck in the arena in your gachas, and if you do decide to do a random 1 pull, I hope it pays out for you like the one I had paid out for me. And with that, you guys take care. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And sorry for the weird DC, but it's over now. I said everything I wanted to say. So bye.